Hey guys, Rip the Rage here. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and welcome to my Overwatch A Year in Review. So this is basically my review of Overwatch, based on their actions, based on Blizzard's actions during the past year. And I never did an actual review of Overwatch, mainly because the amount of content, there wasn't much to review. Overwatch plays exactly like a MOBA, and when it comes to games like this, there's really not much to talk about other than match to match content. So like the thing that keeps you coming back to the game is not to do better or unlock a new piece of gear or something. It's to just play the game to play the game, and they throw you a loot box every now and then. That's all Overwatch is. And the game is fun, don't get me wrong. But we're gonna break the whole thing down, and I'm gonna talk about some stuff that I think is kind of bullshit, and we're gonna compare it to some other games that have been updated and some other games that, and we're gonna compare and contrast, see what's what with Overwatch. So when Overwatch released, it was $60 on console. It was $40 on PC, and then they actually had some sales in there at one point where it was actually like $30 on PC. You saved a little bit of money. It was actually cheaper, and they generally the pricing was what you would expect: $60 for console and $40 on PC. But in the $60 edition, they made up a whole other edition with that, with some shitty, like skins and sprays and stuff, and you got extra stuff for if you played other Blizzard games. But it's like there's no reason on PC to buy the $60 edition. They only did that as like a, hey, we're sorry, we have to charge you guys $60 to make up overhead on console. So I didn't mind it because they did throw in some free skins and whatnot. I wish those skins would have been better. But, with the $60 console version. So I started on the console version. Let me start off by saying that. I started on PlayStation 4, and then I came to PC. And on PC, I have to say, this is the superior version of the game. This is the way Overwatch is meant to be played. And I'm sorry if that offends any console fanboys, but console is not, it in some games, it does very well. Grand Theft Auto with the controller setup very well. Witcher 3 controller very well, and in certain games, in certain areas, consoles do just fine. Consoles do just fine, they keep up. But when it comes to shooters, generally the rule of thumb is that accuracy is key, and that is yet another, testament to Overwatch is accuracy is key in this game, and you need to be able to shoot people. And crits are not that amazing in this game, but they do help, so there is, there is a point to being able to hit your target. You want to do damage. And so when I got on PC, I was like, holy crap, this game is, like so much better when I'm able to just point and click. But that's of the PC genre, not really more focused on Overwatch. Focusing on Overwatch. So when Overwatch released, it came out with several maps, and those maps were, it was a decent amount of maps for the type of game it was offering. There were several different maps. So I have a list of them here. So you had Hanamura, Temple of Anubis, Volskaya Industries, Dorado, Route 66, Watchpoint Gibraltar, Hollywood, Kings Row, Numbani, Lijiang Tower, Ilios, and Nepal. So that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's about 12 maps in total for the base maps that the game came with. And then you had maps thrown in as DLC. But for the base, 12 is completely fine for a $60 title. That makes sense for a multiplayer shooter to have 12 maps. That's completely acceptable. COD has similar numbers to that. Battlefield has similar numbers to that, I believe. And the amount of content there was fine. It came with a host of, minusing Orisa, Sombra, and Ana from the pool. That started with 21 heroes. 21 different heroes. That was about 4 or 5 per class. Depending on which class you're playing. I think there's actually 6 in the assault, about 5 in the defense. There were 4 tanks and 4 healers. Or 4 supports. They're not all healers. Symmetric can heal shit. So then you go to afterwards. So that when they start adding things in. So the game started with 21 heroes and 12 maps, which is completely acceptable, completely fine. Similar... not similar in number to Paladins, the free-to-play, a competitor to Overwatch, I guess. People like to compare Paladins to Overwatch a lot. They're very similar games. They're in the same genre, and they're both very good games. I enjoy them both. But the issue here is that Paladins has kept steady on their updates because Paladins is a free to play, and they don't have your money already, and they basically don't have the mentality of go fuck yourself, we don't care. They're trying to draw people into the game. They're trying to get people to play their game. And not that Blizzard has any malicious intent, and they're like, we have their money, we don't have to update shit now. But no, I do commend Overwatch, and I do commend Blizzard for making Overwatch's DLC 100% free and saying, nope, we're not going to do that. We're going to do just, free DLC. But the problem is that the amount of DLC they added doesn't add up. It really doesn't. So, comparing to Paladins may not be fair. So, what can we do? Well, we can compare it to another $60 game that had it free DLC. I'm referring, of course, to Titanfall 2. Titanfall 2, when it came out, $60 title, on console and on PC, which is a little odd that they wouldn't charge less on PC, like Blizzard did with Overwatch, but I don't know. I'm not going to knock them. It's still a good game. It's worth the $60. And all of Titanfall 2's game-changing DLC is free. So maps, modes, and guns, and anything that physically changes the game. Now, there are Prime Titans and camo packs that you can buy for like $1 or $2, and the prices are extremely fair for the content they're offering. They're, very, very good. Except the Prime Titans, I feel maybe $1 or $2 above, but hey, it's all cosmetic stuff. It's all your deal. That's all on you. And the best part is in Titanfall 2, none of it is RNG. There's not this, you buy this many, supply drops in Titanfall. You buy this many Titan drops and you get, and you might get the thing you want. No, you don't do that. You like this guy? This literally, I'm taking this directly from the creators of Titanfall 2 here. When they were interviewed about it, they said, we wanted to keep it simple. If you like something in the store, simply buy it and you will have it. That's all, and that's exactly what they said. They said, that's their whole philosophy, is if you like the thing, you should be able to buy the thing. They're keeping it very simple, very old school, of if you want the thing, buy the thing. Simple. And so in Titanfall 2, the amount of updating they've done, and Titanfall 2 is not even a year old yet, compared with Overwatch, because Overwatch released about this time last year, because they're doing the anniversary event right now. And then, but Titanfall 2 released in November, October. It released like right between October and November, so right between COD and Battlefield. It kind of sucks because people kind of overlook Titanfall 2, but it's still a damn good game. And they released then. And so now, where do we stand on Titanfall 2? Well, Titanfall 2 started with a similar number of maps, and maybe less maps, but they didn't need as many maps because it was all more about the Titans versus Titans. They had 6 Titans, they had a bunch of guns, and, these are 2 different classes of FPS, by the way. FPS, you've got the twitchy sort of, not exactly strategic, but still a little bit of strategy thrown into Titanfall 2, these big battles and whatnot, and objective. But you can make a loadout, you pick your Titan, and you do this, you do that, and it's not a hero shooter, while Overwatch is. But we're not looking at the aspect of the game, we're looking at how frequently they updated and what they did when they updated. So, so far, it seems that all of Titanfall 2's DLC maps have been remakes or republishes of old maps they had, but I'm completely okay with that. It may not be an original idea, they may just be taking an old map, but it's free, right? So they've added Colony, they've added Angel City, and they're adding a new one soon. And they're adding a brand new Monarch character. So, Titanfall 2 has had pretty much, I'd say, similar results in shelling out their DLC. But Titanfall 2 is only 6 months old? It's about half the age of Overwatch, and has updated the game through DLC, as basically as much as Overwatch has. So that's kind of an interesting thing to think about when you have a completely separate game, charge the same amount of money, do the same exact model for DLC, and then, on top of that, instead of having RNG getting in the way of getting the skin you want for your Titan or for your customization options, they just say, here, you want the skin? Give me $2, you get all these skins. Here you go. Meanwhile, Overwatch does the RNG shit and says, here, buy the thing, you might get the thing, you might not. It's gambling. It's gambling. We're encouraging gambling here. And, I've never been a fan of RNG in a game, but at least in Overwatch, it is only cosmetic, it does not affect gameplay at all, it only affects the aesthetic of the characters. Now, I know what some of you are going to say, oh, but Reaper, what about the events, the Christmas event, and the Halloween event, the Olympic event, and the Those don't count. Those were temporary events with temporary skins, which will never return. Now, maybe for Halloween or Christmas, they will be able to come back with that. And I believe was there a spring event? I don't think there was a spring event. There was a Chinese New Year event. So for Chinese New Year and the annual stuff, maybe those skins will make a return and they'll add new skins to it, or just open it back up to where you're able to get those skins again through your loot boxes that you earn while playing the event. But the Summer Games one they did, not going to happen. Because it's going to be at least 2020 before we see another Olympics. So obviously they're not going to do that event again until another Olympics is on the rise. So basically all those skins, hey, you're fucked. You don't get those skins, which is kind of bullshit. So that's what I'm referring to as temporary content. That was, that's not longevity. That's not any sort of permanent DLC that could impact the game and, let you get something you didn't have before, and it was still there and available afterwards. Now, had they kept those items in the pool, I would be saying something completely different. I would say, good on them. They had this event. You can only get them for this, and then there you go. And then, if you wanted them later, you'd have to buy them, and you couldn't get them in a drop. Okay, maybe that would make more sense. But they didn't do that, which is a huge mistake, because those skins, they could have made so much money from people just dropping $2 or $3 to just buy the skin outright after the event, if they didn't get it during the event. Now, let's talk about the actual DLC that Overwatch has come out with in 12 months. It has been 12 months since Overwatch has come out. So let's talk about the DLC. There have been 3 maps that have come out. So you have Eichenwald, Oasis, and Echo or Echo. It's so hard to pronounce this. I don't know if it's Eco or Echo. I'm going to say Echo. Echo Point, Antarctica. I don't know if that's correct pronunciation. And those have been the maps. And along with those maps, there have been 3 heroes released so far, none of which Doomfist, by the way, which everybody's been waiting for. And meanwhile, Paladins just so happened to be tweeting out a picture today with a pink-haired girl looking very angry, holding a very large gauntlet, like, on her arm, like a very large glove. So maybe Paladins beat you to it. Anyway, so you have Orisa, Sombra, and Ana. Those are the 3 heroes that were released over the last 12 months. And then you had some other extras thrown in there. They made a server browser so people can make their own custom games, and people can go and look for those custom games, and that's a really fun aspect. I have to give credit where credit is due. That is a really fun thing. Getting the community involved like that is really nice. Unfortunately, there is no current map editor, so you can only do so much with the editor. You can do extensive, though. You can completely turn certain abilities off, to my knowledge. I haven't actually used the editor myself, but to my knowledge, you can turn abilities off, ramp abilities up, make people have more health, less health, etc., etc. So it's extensive, but not as extensive as I'd like it to be. I'd like there to be a map editor, so you could change the map and add like AI spawn points and make your own little events. That would be very good for the community, I think. They added competitive. That was another thing that they have added that is still permanent, and that has stayed with us. And competitive, I have to say, I just keep getting worse at competitive. Not my skill level, but my placement in competitive has just gotten worse and worse and worse over the seasons. Season 1, it was alright. I was kind of on par with everybody else. Season 2, I got Platinum, and I thought I was doing good, but apparently 80% of the community got stuck in Platinum in Season 2. In Season 3, I got, a little below Platinum, but I broke into Platinum. And then in Season 4, I was placed in Gold, even though I won like 7 of my matches and did very well. So fuck me, and I have not played competitive all of Season 4. Number 1, I refuse to, and number 2, I've been on PC mostly, and I've been having connection issues with Blizzard. So that's another little gem that we're going to talk about later. But competitive has been a good thing. It has been a positive thing, I think. Although it has led to a lot of, I've seen a lot of instances of people criticizing the game in some way, and or maybe getting a little salty and saying something, and then somebody else is like, "Oh, you're gold, shut up," or "Oh, you don't know what to talk about, you're gold," leading to this sort of insult of like, "Oh, you don't know, you're low tier, so therefore you cannot critique the game," which is kind of bullshit. But it's just toxic people being toxic towards each other. It's just, and I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of not calling people gold, but being called gold, and I'm guilty of making salty remarks time to time. Everybody does it, and I'm not going to hide from it. I'm not going to shy away from it. I am Reaper the Rager. I rage. And when I do, I don't expect people to backlash, but hey, you want to talk shit to me, I'll talk shit to you, and then nothing will happen because it's pointless. Anyway, off of competitive, they added 1v1 and 3v3, both of these on Eco Point Antarctica. So, a lot of originality there. Rather than put it on two different maps, they decided to put it on one map because Eco Point Antarctica, apparently it's too hard to code out the health packs on any other map. They designed Eco Point Antarctica to have no health packs. So, I guess it's super hard to just make the health packs disappear on a map. I guess they're integrated in the map. I don't know if they could have put it on a different map. I mean, I don't know. Or maybe it was just designed for 3v3s and 1v1s. I don't know. So then we had the weekly brawls were introduced for a short time, and then they were taken away for no reason. Something that people actually enjoyed, myself included. I liked seeing every week that there was something new to do in the game, and that would have kept me playing more frequently. I would have come back just to play those and be like, oh, this is a really cool mode. I want to keep playing this. And play it the entire week. And then next week is like, oh, look, another cool mode. Oh my god, another one. And another one. And it just keeps going. So by the time you get sick of one mode and you go back to playing the normal game, in 2 days it'll be like, okay, well, I don't want to play for a little while. And it's like, okay, I played this mode, but this mode's gone now, so I'll play the next mode. Oh, this mode's really fun. And then they all of a sudden said, you know what? Fuck you guys. Fuck the community. We don't want to do the work to do weekly brawls anymore. It's too much of a hassle. We're having to update too much, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, basically they just stopped for zero reason in particular. There's no point to them stopping weekly brawls. But then later they rolled out the server browser and said, basically, you guys want weekly brawls, make your own weekly brawls. Which is fair enough. I give them props for, again, the server browser. It's a really cool idea. It's good to get the community involved. But I do miss weekly brawls, even though they have thrown mystery heroes in as a permanent mode in the arcade. And so that actually leads me to another point I'm going to make. Why does it seem that Blizzard does not care about the arcade? Like, they seem to not give a shit about arcade, right? Because they don't actively track what you do in arcade. In arcade, they do not actively track how many hours of a character you've played, how much accuracy you have of them in the arcade. Nothing. Nothing in the arcade is tracked. Absolutely nothing. They don't care. The only times they track statistics of each character you play is in quick play or competitive. If you do not play quick play or competitive, your stats are not tracked. Your number for, like, say, I think I have like 9 hours in Junkrat in quick play on PC, and then I go and I play, and I played far longer than 9 hours with Junkrat, I can tell you that much. And then, but all of it's been in arcade because I don't want to go play quick play, and I fucking loathe competitive because it's too stressful and there's sweaty nerds everywhere, and I just don't want to play that right now. And then I basically played quick play, and then when they moved quick plays no limits to, like, its own category in the arcade, they had no limits moved there, so that quick play could be this sort of unranked ranked where people could practice for competitive. I guess that was their idea. And, and so I moved with no limits. I wanted the no limits. I wanted the craziness. I wanted, 5 May stacking just to see what happened, and I wanted to be Satan, I want to have fun with people, And so it didn't track it while I was in the arcade, which thoroughly pisses me off. That is a stupid idea. Why? I mean, and I get why they don't do it, because it doesn't make them money. Nobody, plays the arcade or streams the arcade and plays that. But no, people play quick play and people play competitive, and they're trying to do the esports thing, and they're trying to get people into the actual game, which is fair enough, and I understand their reasoning behind it. I just don't like it. I don't agree with them. I think it wouldn't be that hard to track people in arcade. It would basically just apply the same exact system you use in quick play to track player statistics, and I don't see why they don't do that. That is a rather annoying fact for me. But off of that, back onto the content of, Overwatch's year in review. Was this game worth it? Was it worth the $60 on console? And then I moved it to PC, so I basically got $20 back, in a way. But I did lose my skins, which is the other thing that pisses me off. Why can't I link my Battle.net account to my PlayStation account and move those skins over? Why can't I just transfer skins from platform to platform? And it would be fair enough to be like, oh, if you move these skins, you can't move them for a month because we don't want people just hopping their skins between stuff. That would make sense. But they don't do that either. They seem, and there's a lot of stuff where I'm hearing blah, 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 we're listening, blah, blah, blah. I was just watching a video today of Force Gaming talking about toxic players and how, somebody had started a thread on the Overwatch Reddit, or not the Reddit, but they were on the Overwatch forums, the official forums on Battle.net and for Overwatch, and they had started a thread about feeling betrayed, and like their having people throw their games, and they're having people, saying racial slurs and stuff, and they report people, but it doesn't seem to do anything. And do they actually listen? Should he even keep reporting people? He started a whole thread about that, and a lot of people were agreeing. And so Jeff Kaplan actually got on the thread and said, "Oh yeah, you guys got to keep reporting because we don't know exactly how we're gonna punish toxic people, but we're going to." Maybe he just sat there. He basically said nothing, absolutely nothing. All that talk, and he said nothing, right? And that's all I've been hearing so far out of these people is blah 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 blah. We're listening to you, blah 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 blah. We're listening to you, even though we took out Weekly Brawl. Maybe there were numbers on that. Maybe not as many people enjoyed it as I thought, but it seemed to be highly populated. And not to mention they boast this number of 30 million people that have bought Overwatch. If there are 30 million people worldwide that have bought Overwatch, why the hell does it still take me 3 to 4 minutes on console and now on PC, same exact setup, right? It's same game. It still takes the same amount of time, and sometimes it takes 5 whole minutes in the queue to find one friggin' game. Can we get numbers on this of how many people are populating the mode you're trying to play? But no, they won't do that because it will call them on their bullshit and show them to be liars that, no, peak hours is not really peak. There's not really that many people. And this is the same issue that actually happened in competitive. In competitive, they had grandmasters and masters and the high tier guys getting paired against people who are like platinum, gold even, that were, clearly below their rank and not supposed to be there. But since the masters and grandmaster people chose to play off of peak hours in their region, they got paired with people because the game is worried more about pairing you and getting you in a game rather than, is there someone of equal skill to play with? And I can attest to this, even in arcade, there doesn't seem to be skill-based matchmaking. Even, and I get paired up against people who don't seem to be anywhere near my level, and it's just fucking weird, man. It just doesn't make any sense. And I think the final nail in the coffin for Overwatch for me is the Lawbreakers beta. So I played the Lawbreakers beta recently, and if you guys want to go check out my video, I broke down the Lawbreakers beta and talked about it, and that link will be in the description. And in that beta, it was so balanced. There were 8 characters, and I'm not going to get into all this nitty-gritty stuff. I had a whole video set aside for that, and I did that, so go watch that. And then, but in this beta, this was a team of 30 people who had worked on this game for 3 years and had made a game that was more fun, more balanced, and more fair than Overwatch. And it, and it didn't try that hard. And the Lawbreakers guys are extremely responsive on their Facebook page and stuff. And maybe it's because they're a smaller company. But just because you're big doesn't mean you should ignore your community and not talk to them on social media. And I realize they do, but they don't do it nearly enough. They don't give us answers. Just like with Jeff Kaplan earlier, how he said, we're listening, we can't tell you exactly what we're going to do, but we're going to do a thing maybe. And then there you go. Now, if you're like the Lawbreakers guys over at Boss Key Productions and you're a small team with a little game coming out and there's a thing you want to tell somebody, there's an event coming up you want to tell them about, but you just can't do it yet, and you're kind of teasing them, that's okay, because you're building hype for something. But, when there's a balance issue, or something people don't like in the game, then you have run into a serious fucking issue. And you need to address the issue and tell them, look, we are working on it, this is the current landscape, and they have, I watched a video of Jeff Kaplan the other day, talking about, where he answered, people's questions about Overwatch on, Twitter or something, and it was like a little dev talk thing, and he actually sat there and answered somebody's stupid-ass question of, why is Widowmaker blue? Motherfucker, if you would go and Google why Widowmaker's blue, you would already know the answer to this question. You should not have to be asking the developer of the game why this is a thing, when literally everybody knows the backstory of Widowmaker. Everybody knows that she was kidnapped by Talon and forced to kill her husband because she was brainwashed and turned into an assassin, and they modified her biology and her heart rate and shit, and that's why her skin is blue because of scientific shit. Okay, if you would go and read, and I haven't even read the comics, even though I understand, because I go and I Google this shit. I'm like, why does it make her blue? Oh, that's why. I go and I watch lore bites, and I learn about these little things that are in the game, about Bastion and this and that, and little tidbits of information and lore, and I enjoy that. But Jesus Christ, he wasted time answering a question which he literally could have looked at the dude and said, Google it, you lazy fuck. Moving on to the actual issues. And I get it, there are hard questions, and maybe he can't answer things, and maybe there are certain things that he just can't tell us, because there's backdoor stuff he doesn't want to make promises that he can't keep. And I understand that, I really do. But when you don't tell anybody anything because you're afraid they might take something out of context, or might believe something's the truth, I mean, look what they did with the Sombra ARG. Excuse me a moment. Oh, going to Port Miso. My apologies. That was very rude. Anyway, but look at the Sombra ARG that they did. It went on for months. They teased Sombra. Months and months and months. And everybody was like, well, what's Sombra? Can we get solid proof? People wanted it over. They were done with the hype. They didn't want the hype. They wanted the character. They could have, they had Sombra done. They could have released her onto the PTR at any point, right? They were just trying to build hype, and they screwed it up big time. And then when Orisa came out, they didn't do any stupid RNG, I'm sorry, not RNG, ARG. They didn't do any stupid little game of like, oh, who is this character? Who's the next character going to be? Is this a thing? Is that a thing? Leaks. No, they said, here, we're going to tease about this thing at New Bonnie. So they had this thing happen in the actual game itself, which was very good. They altered the New Bonnie map because Doomfist came in and stole his gauntlet back, basically. And then afterwards, it turns out that there was a little girl, and she took one of these robots that got smashed up in the attack, and she rebuilt it, basically Chappie, basically the entire idea of Chappie, and then made this awesome new character, and I love the character. And then they have proceeded to nerf the fuck out of Orisa for no reason. I've not seen reason why Orisa has been nerfed to the point where she has. I mean, her shield is still good and everything, but Jesus, she was so much better in PTR, and then when she got the main game, it's like, and now we make her garbage. I don't know why, I don't understand the idea, but hey, there might be some backdoor balance issues that I'm not aware of. Again, I'm not a dev, I'm not, working at Blizzard, I don't know all the insider shit, right? That is not me. I do not know these things, and maybe there's something else going on. But still, it's a lot of misunderstanding, and I feel like there's a lot of ignorance, and not willful ignorance either. Not the community saying, oh, well, the information's out there, but we don't want to know. It's not like the entire community is that guy with the whole why is Widowmaker blue question. It's not like everybody's doing that with all these characters and shit. It's like, no, we want to know. We want to know what's up with the toxic players. We want to know what's up with what's going on with competitive and this and that and our SR ratings. And if you guys go on the Overwatch forums, there's a bunch of stuff that they talk about. There's a bunch of different stuff, and people, like, oh, remove this character, nerf this character, buff this character, that character. There's a shit ton of conversation going on all the time, and not a lot of answers from the devs from what I've seen. There's not a lot of direct conversation with the community, and that is kind of annoying, and I wish, they would stop doing that, and they would get to the point and tell people what's going on, and give us reasons as to why they can't do certain things. And if there's a reason for it, sure, then just say, okay, we can't do it because of X, Y, and Z reason. And if it's a decent reason, it's like, okay, cool, Or maybe if they release that reason, then somebody in the community will come up with a better solution and be like, hey, did you guys think of doing it this way? And it's like, oh, wait, you're a genius. Thank you. That's the solution to the problem. Get the community involved, is what I'm saying. Oh, man, I went off on a rant there for a minute, but back on topic. Okay, so Overwatch, $40 on PC, $60 on console. At the end of the day, they added 3 new maps. These are the permanent things that are actively affecting the game. Are 3 new maps, 3 new characters, the server browser, and 1v1s and all. I think the most significant thing they added in all the extra stuff was competitive, and that's about it. It just anyway. So the maps and the modes and everything, if you break that down over a 12-month period, they have added a map and a character every 4 months. So these characters, which they need to be adding a lot more of, or Paladins is going to catch up and pass them on number of characters and maps and shit. And then you have that aspect of it, of the competition's going to catch up. And then you have the aspect of all the DLC is free, but we take 4 months to put anything out there that you're going to like and significantly do. They should be releasing a hero every month. If they released a hero every month, my God, I realize it has to go through PTR first, but that's fine. Release it in PTR at the beginning of the month. Take it back, right? You take it back after like 2 weeks. And then you give your guys 2 weeks to do balance changes and more PTR testing, right? You start editing stuff on the PTR. You spend a month working on one character, and you let the old character be from last month. So you release the first character, do PTR testing all month, then officially release them next month, and then you release a new character in the PTR, and that will get people to play the game. Not these spurred events where it's like it's kind of like when your horse is tired and you're going along and you're trying to get the horse to take you to the next town or the next destination. I'm sorry, I've been playing a lot of Witcher 3 and I'm thinking about Roach right now. And so you're trying to get your horse to go. How do you make your horse go faster? When your horse starts to slow down or your horse is doing something you don't want them to do, you spur them in the side. And that's what these events have been. The events have been spurs in the side to make numbers peak up and try and get interest back in the game again, and then back down. Everybody just goes to other games and does other things, waiting for the next event, waiting for the next hero. At least I know that's what I do, and a good bit of people that I know do. So, yeah, that is it for, I talked for quite a bit. I am flustered. So what is the final verdict on Overwatch's year in review? I would have to say, I'm not going to put this on numbers or anything. I'm just going to say, not worth it. Really wasn't. And maybe in the future they will do what I said of adding a character every month, adding a new map every 2 months, and then changing stuff more often, adding, the DLC faster to get more people interested, bringing back weekly brawls to be actual weekly brawls, maybe have, my God, think about it, a server browser vote system. So you could vote on what your favorite game mode was of the last week, and at the end of every week, they choose that and go, okay, this is the new weekly brawl. And, based on consumer feedback and what the community has played. And that'll get people involved. Holy shit. Doesn't seem to be hard. Anyway, that is it for Overwatch Year in Review. I would say if you haven't picked up Overwatch yet, and you're looking at it for $40 on PC, I would say yes, it's definitely worth investing in. Seems how there will be more free DLC in the future. And the game itself, as it stands right now, is definitely worth $40. $60 might still be pushing it for consoles. But again, that $60 edition does get you a few extra skins to begin with. So if you like that DLC, fucking, freebie stuff, where it's like, oh, here's a kind of shitty skin that you're going to replace with a better skin, soon anyway, so you're not even going to notice, then that's all on you. That's fine. That'll keep you held over on the $60 edition. But for $40 on PC, I would say yes, go ahead and pick it up. And if it's $60 on console, I would say wait for a sale to where it's closer to $40, or maybe try and get that ask for that as a gift if you really, really want to play Overwatch. Or maybe just go invest in something else. I'd say take that $60, go buy The Witcher 3, which is a shit ton of content and is really, really good and will give you far more entertainment than Overwatch did. And, there's a million other things that you could put that money into that have been, more reliable than Overwatch has been. Anyway, that is it. I took up quite a bit of time with this, but that is it for Overwatch Year in Review. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then do the usual. Like, subscribe, check out my streams. Tell me in the comments below if you think I'm wrong, if there's something I missed, or if you just, generally are a Blizzard fanboy and are an apologist, and everything Blizzard does is amazing, and please, Blizzard, piss on me and don't even call it rain, and I will still love you. If you're one of those people, meet me in the comments, go ahead. I expect you down there anyway. Reaper the Rager,